hey, can you do all of this work for us for free?
Oh,
You know?
yeah.
And it's like major brands sometimes that do that. But then afterwards, I was broke. What? Like, I just figured it out. I was on Spirit Airlines. I had, I was staying with my cousins. Like, I wasn't in a fancy hotel. I was using the money I had from like the side jobs and hustles to just pour into making good content.
From my backpacking around Africa, I learned that jollof is actually Senegalese, right?
Hey,
The origin is there. But see, in Quebec, there is something called the poutine wars.
What was it like having Justin Trudeau up in Scarborough?
Fun. It was nice, yeah.
How did that happen? How did that come about?
His team reached out to me.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's fire. Hello and welcome. Hustle for Everything podcast. This is the podcast where we receive stories, tips, and tactics from entrepreneurs who have done it. Today we have a returning guest.
It's a return of the Mac. That's what I'm thinking right now.
Return of the Mac. Hey, most definitely. We have the Black Foodie herself. We have Eden Hagos in the building. Eden Swagos.
My OG name, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You threw that back.
Yeah.
How you doing? Welcome back to the show.
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me. It's so great to be back.
Most
Yes.
definitely.
Yeah.
We have to make sure you're taking care of. We have the cookies for you.
Thank you.
You know what I'm saying?
And the black and pepper salt and nuts.
Yup.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Very nice.
Most
yeah.
definitely, yo. But we have to get straight into it. What was it like having Justin Trudeau up in Scarborough?
Fun. It
Yeah?
was nice. Yeah.
How did that happen? How did that come about?
His team reached out to me.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's fire.
That's
Yeah.
Can
insane.
you
So,
talk about that?
yeah, what led up to all those events to him to come to Scarbs?
That's a great question. So I think he was already coming to Scarborough for Junior Carnival. He goes to that pretty often, I think. And they had reached out to me because they wanted to showcase Black Foodie and take him on an experience. And I was like, yeah, let's do a food tour, which is very hard to coordinate with like a world leader. So we stuck to one location in Scarborough, a great location, Twist Catering, Chef Latoya's spot, and got to have a whole carnival feast and talk about Caribbean food and culture in celebration of Carnival.
Yeah.
So it was really dope.
What was the security like? Sorry to cut you
Yeah,
off.
no problem.
They were there. There was definitely RCMP and like there was dogs sniffing the place.
Really?
And yeah. It was-
And for those, I know since we recorded our last episode, that was 2020 April. For the new audience members who haven't listened to the episode yet, can you give them a synopsis of who you are, what you do, and what got you into that space?
Yep. So my name's Eden Hagos, of course. Used to be Swagos, which is not my name, but that was my nickname and it stuck. And I started Black Foodie in 2015 after experiencing racism while eating out for my birthday. And that experience really changed me. It upset me. And I thought, why am I not going to Black-owned restaurants? Why had I not even considered celebrating my birthday at a Black-owned restaurant? So that question stuck with me. And it was particularly it was just running in my mind quite a bit because my family actually owned a restaurant when I was a kid, an Ethiopian restaurant in the 90s. And I thought, I, of all people, should be supporting Black restaurants. And if I'm not, and my friends are not, there's something wrong here. We need to change this. And so I started sharing content online. First as a Facebook status. I don't know if you guys remember statuses, right?
Yep.
And then just...
Those are the original tweets.
The original tweets, exactly. And then just, building a community on Instagram and Facebook and grew to other platforms and hosting events. And essentially it grew into community. Now it's over 400,000 people. So close to 500,000 people that are a part of the Black Foodie community who love food and want to discover amazing restaurants. They want to discover the history behind their favorite foods. They want to see how we're connected as the African diaspora. And that's some of the cool work that I get to do now.
So it started just as a passion. You just wanted to highlight. There was no business case behind it.
Well, I knew that there was a business opportunity there.
Yeah.
I didn't understand how to make it happen though. At that time, there were platforms like Travel Noir and Blavity and something else called like No Madness Travel Tribe. So I was like not a blogger myself, but I definitely consumed a lot of this content, and I would attend events, and I was like really inspired by them. So I knew that you could build a business around creating community, and that there was a need with our community for sure.
So you just start like part-time hustle, just going to these different restaurants and
Exactly.
just one thing after other. People just gravitated towards your content, and it just took off.
Yeah, I think the reason it took off was like people were hungry for it. Everybody has to eat. Everybody, and most people that I meet love food. And unfortunately, especially at that time, our food was not being displayed. I remember one of the first things I did was I had a photo shoot, and I just like invited a bunch of people like and said, I want to represent our food. I hired just my friends to like help me shoot, and I got Nigerian food, Ethiopian food, Jamaican food, like whatever food I could think of, because I wanted to show Black people having fun eating food, because I couldn't find photos like that.
Yeah.
And that's so crazy now. Like it's 2023, but like in 2015, I literally was like Googling Black hands with food and not finding images.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you know what's interesting too? I think part of it is when I was in school, like my mom would pack me like a hot lunch, right? So I have like skooma in there, which is like cabbage mixed with carrots and peas and everything, and rice. And when you open it in a hot flask, the aroma just fills the entire room.
Yeah.
Right? So you have all these kids going, oh my God, oh, and what is that? It's like it smells. So me and this other Indian kid would have like this similar lunch. So I think when I can speak for myself, I think when you grow up, you're not really prioritizing going out to eat your own type of food at a restaurant, because it's like a cultural thing that you actually enjoy just having inside your house. And when you go out, like, I also think the branding and the community building behind Black food isn't as prominent as maybe Italian. Like they have pizza. Like what do Black people have? I think Caribbeans have jerk chicken and everything. Like we know that is like culturally Black, but Ethiopia, you've got injera, right? You've got everything. Dorowats.
Yeah.
Nairobi, like what do we have that's commercialized? Nothing, right? So,
Well,
I mean, if you go back home, you have like
yeah.
ugali.
I mean, I definitely think right now there's a change where there's people taking like African superfoods, ingredients, sauces, spices. Like it's starting. I do see it starting to come out, but I do agree with you in that we didn't have the representation in traditional food media.
Exactly.
For sure.
Yeah.
So you weren't going to see injera on Food Network or ugali or even maybe a little bit of jerk chicken, but it probably was not the right version of it, so there was definitely a gap, I think,
Yes. Yeah.
Most definitely. So as you were growing the community, what was some of the things you were noticing that let you know I'm on the right path?
I remember the first thing, which is I made a t-shirt. That was a Black Foodie. Okay. And this was 2015. I hosted a brunch in Washington, D.C. And at that time, like, DC is a very Black city, right? So there's lots of brunch parties. Any Saturday or Sunday, you're going to see like everybody dressed up nice, ready to eat and also party at the same time. And I was wearing this shirt and people kept stopping me being like, oh my God, I love that. I'm a foodie. I'm a foodie too. And so I was like, oh, maybe I can sell these shirts. But also people, it resonated with them because they also loved food and they wanted to like represent. So that definitely, showed me something. And I started having like little pop-up events, which were really just fun ways for me to get information from people for free, like focus groups. And I did it everywhere I went. And, I traveled quite a bit. So I was like in Atlanta or in DC or in Toronto. And even though I was in very different cities, there was this same desire for connection and learning around their food, and also kind of like a guide to certain foods, because you might know a lot about ugali and I know a lot about dorowet, but
It's just called dorowet.
Huh?
You just said dorowet.
Yeah.
Is it because all the time I've been saying Dodo what's
What? Yeah, both are.
Is this both
yeah.
correct? Okay,
yeah,
okay,
yeah.
okay.
So
Plantain,
Is it
Plantain,
plantain?
yeah.
Plantain?
yeah,
It's like that beef?
I think it's like that. I mean, I don't speak Amharic very well, so I can't really tell you the exact way to say it, but that's how I say it. And I just saw that people had curiosity, but they needed a guide, you know, and I wanted to fill that gap.
So how are you doing it with, so you're going to Atlanta, you're going to DC. Do you have a job at this point? Like, how are you finding time to go all these different places? And this is just as a passion project. You're just documenting. How did you find the resources to be doing all this at the time when it's very early stages?
So originally I was in this like fellowship program called Studio Y, and they were paying us a little bit of money each month. So I had some time to actually like think and be creative without having to worry about big bills. But then afterwards I was broke. What? Like I just figured it out. I was on Spirit Airlines. I had, you know, I was staying with my cousins. Like I wasn't in a fancy hotel. I was using the money I had from like the side jobs and hustles to just pour into making good content. So I will say at that time, I wasn't very strategic in how I was getting money and using it.
Flow.
I was just going with the flow.
Yeah.
I was. Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Good for you. Like
Oh,
those early stages could be rough.
Yeah,
it
especially
was
when you're
rough.
traveling broke.
Yeah.
See, that's like the
Yeah.
trough of sorrows for most entrepreneurs. You know what I'm saying? Which is very interesting because when all the entrepreneurs are in that stage, they're usually by themselves, like solo dolo in their city, staying, you know,
Yeah.
to themselves. So, whereas with you, you were more so traveling around, which is not only a way to entertain yourself and keep yourself motivated, but also a good way to grow. You know, like how was that networking opportunities that you found in different cities? Did you find it as like a strategic way, or talk to me about that?
I think a lot of it happened naturally. I knew that I wanted to connect with Black chefs. So any type of like food festival or event that I knew was going to gather a lot of Black people and have a culinary element, I went to it. So there was like this like Caribbean food festival in Montreal, and I went and was like, I'm going to record content. And then Essence Festival in New Orleans. I met several awesome Black chefs that were like really killing it in their spaces. And then just like hitting up people on Instagram in the DMs and saying, hey, I'd love to like shoot in your kitchen. Are you down? And they said yes. And so I just got fortunate in that people were like cool with me, even though I had like 200 followers, you know. I didn't have a lot of
Especially
people
as a
following.
content business, like
Yeah.
when do you see the return on investment? Like all these flights, all these travels, documenting.
Yeah.
You know, how do you plan for, okay, I'm going to get a deal at this point? Because you're very early on.
Oh yeah. So the other thing was I started like offering like social media services to people. So I was like, oh, I got good at like creating content
crafty.
and being crafty. So then I just started offering those services to like small business owners. And that's how I barely paid bills. And then it was tough because I was like, how am I going to make this work? And then I think I remember maybe 2018, 2019, I thought, okay, now I have a sizable audience now. And like travel is such
what's sizable to you at that point?
I think maybe over like 30,000 or something, possibly more. But I knew it was enough to like where people were buying things based off of like recommendations I was making. And travel was such a big part of what I was doing. And I thought, okay, let me pitch to, you know, destinations. And I think that's like what really opened the door. And then the other thing that I should mention was like, I was hosting events. I was getting like a lot of like traditional media opportunities that I don't think a lot of other food content creators could access. But it was difficult in Canada to get brand buy-in. Like I was definitely what I was doing, which was called Black Foodie, it was not very appealing to people. They were like, this is too political. This is too Black. This is too whatever. And so it was really tough. I remember thinking like, I can't make it here. I got to leave. Yeah. And things changed. 2020, the world changed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Most definitely. All right. So when you were pitching these brands, did you have a strategy of reaching out? Like, let's talk about the ways, because a lot of our entrepreneurs, they want to get that PR, right? And you have been a media darling for better words. Talk to us about that strategy, because that's a little hidden gem in there.
Yeah. So I think being interesting is a strategy. I don't know if that was my strategy, but that definitely helped because I was doing something that was different at that time. And also like having fun conversations around food in ways that traditional outlets were not having. So with Black Foodie, I always had events, whether it was like injera and chill or doubles roast patties, Jollof Wars. Yeah. And that like got the attention of like local journalists. So I would be on like, morning television or CBC and things. And I think that helped like also grow a community online. And when I did get those things, I made sure to keep in touch with people. So the next time I was having something, I was top of mind and it was easier to get coverage. I think like at that time, I don't think I had like a specific strategy. I think though afterwards I realized, oh, this is really helpful in like promoting this event and also like pushing this conversation that I think a lot more people should know about, like African foods, Caribbean foods. And then I could pitch. So I knew, okay, let's say now like Caravana just passed our Toronto Caribbean Carnival. This is an excellent time to be pitching Caribbean food content. There are tons of tourists coming into the city. Maybe it's a great time to pitch a guide, the top Caribbean restaurants to check out when you're in Toronto, or maybe some, snack foods to try. So like really trying to like keep your pitches compelling and also like relevant. Timely. Yes.
That's a big jam. That's a big jam.
Yeah.
So for food, I think it's a big one around Caravana. And then you can probably like finesse around Father's Day where to go for like brunch and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But for like other entrepreneurs, like how could they leverage it if they're not in the food niche? Could they do like calendar events or something like that? Like,
calendar events?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think maybe just like I would encourage them to think about what their desired outcome is. So if it's to establish yourself as, let's say you want to be a thought leader in marketing, using social media to promote your business. Maybe, it's summertime and you're going to talk to entrepreneurs about how to like refresh their social media pages this summer and get new customers in who are visiting the city from out of town. Like you could still pitch yourself as an expert and figure out how to make it timely, but like think of things that are helpful essentially. If it sounds boring to you, it's probably boring to them. So like keep it interesting, keep it fresh,
Yeah. What one person was saying is that there, I forget who it was, but someone was saying that they would use the calendar event. So you know how they have like days of the week and days of the month, like today's National Donut Day.
Yeah,
and they'll like match that day to their brand to try and make something that's marketable.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'm like, yes, and sometimes I'm like, this is corny.
It's a little
This
forced.
is corny. It's like it's National Coffee Table Month. So let's celebrate the best coffee tables, and it's like
like you're pushing it here a little. Yeah.
Listen, this sell me. You know what I'm saying?
You want it to be relevant to you too.
Yeah. It's a balance.
It is a balance.
You got to find that fine balance. But I think that's that's a really big gem. Figuring out a timely, relevant way to match people. One of the things we started doing is doing like content waves. So like some of the questions we would ask would help us figure out what's trending or what has a content wave. So for example, one of our most popular clips on YouTube was us talking about Kawhi. And because Kawhi has left Toronto, there's always a small current of that trending topic of, was Kawhi leaving Toronto a good move?
What happened? What could have happened if he stayed?
What could have happened if he stayed? So we asked that to an NBA player, and so that his answer, of course, people want to see that because he's an NBA player, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's the other thing, something to think about for entrepreneurs out there that are trying to market themselves. Like, what current or what relevant topic is happening that they can leverage for their business, But going back to you though, was there a moment where a brand had to believe in you, and that was like the inflection point of you closing brand deals?
Like a turning point,
Yeah, because basically, because you said you were doing social media marketing at one point.
Oh, yeah.
And then turned it internally to starting to pitch brands. Right?
Yeah. I think definitely I want to shout out, like there's Black owned businesses that invested in me first. So
Invested.
or did not, okay, maybe not invested as like a traditional investor, but like
took a chance on
me and like, hired me out to like promote their business or their food products. So that was definitely like helpful. And I think definitely tourism was where I saw a turning point where I was already doing these things. There was already a market for it on my social media platforms, and pitching it to different destinations. So like I remember doing a partnership with Visit Jamaica for Patty Day and creating content that was like about the history of the patty wars in Toronto, which is actually really interesting, and going around the city and showcasing this. And I've worked with them several times since then to promote the Jamaican Patty Day here in Toronto, or working a lot within Canada. Like I produced a series throughout Canada with Destination Canada, Destination Ontario. There's a destination for everything, okay? And like I got to do one of my most fun projects was actually in Brampton, creating a guide to Brampton, and then like doing it in other parts of the U.S. as well. So Oakland is like one of my favorite places, and I actually moved there temporarily. So I worked with the city of Oakland to create a really dope guide, and with California. So just a lot of different, taking the things that were working and packaging them again and saying, hey, this worked really well in Canada. I think this would work great in California, and building off of that.
Yeah. You know, as you're building, I'm like curious because you're creating Black Foodie.
Yeah.
Were there other Black women who had maybe like gone to where you wanted to be? Like when you look at your vision, like, hey, look, they have such a big platform. They're doing something similar with food. Who are those people who like showed you what's possible to come, right? Because Black Foodie is like original, but their Black food content creators may be somewhere in Nigeria, Kenya, right?
Yes.
You're seeing them, they're doing it there, but the Canadian market is missing something like this because we're like a hodgepodge of different cultures. Like, who was that for you, if you did have one, or were you just thinking, man, there's no one that exists like me, I'm gonna go and make it happen?
Oh no, there's definitely people that were doing amazing things within the Black food space. Like I'm not like, but I think I was definitely like an early adopter in terms of using social media to do this, and do it in a way where I'm not the most viral recipe content creator. You know, I'm not gonna teach you how to cook everything, or do some of these things that are like very catchy on the internet. But I was going to restaurants and talking to people and saying, why'd you start? And can you tell me about this dish? And showing this content, going to East Africa and being like, this is how you make injera, or like, have you heard of this traditional plant that's like has healing properties? And that I think was really compelling. Yeah. And I think that was able to get me to grow an audience. But yeah, there's definitely people. There's an author, I believe her name is like Jessica B. Harris. She was doing this back in the day. Like the show on Netflix is based on her.
Didn't have like social or anything to
No, this is like 40 years ago. Like, so yeah, this was a long time ago. So she worked, actually, let me make sure I got the date right, because I'm not sure, but she's an OG. She was writing Black cookbooks many years ago, like, and she definitely paved the way for many women, Black women in food. And there were lots of like really great content creators in the US as well that I connected with that were very inspiring. Yeah.
So like ever since your rise to prominence within the Black food space, have you seen other people locally like start doing what you're doing? They're like, oh, I'm inspired by Eden. I want to start doing Black food content as well. Because you like came up and you like took over. Have you seen other people like coming after you and like, hey, let's collaborate. I like what you're doing. Let's form a team. How's that process been like ever since you became like the face of food content creation for the Black community here in Toronto and the States?
Thank you. I think there's many faces, and there's tons of really dope Black food creators that are from Toronto. Toronto is a diverse city, so there's a lot. And I am fans of their work. I learned how to cook different West African food and stuff. So I think that Black Foodie definitely paved the way for people to like talk about their culture. Yeah. But I think they already had the talent. It already existed. And like now the social media platforms change. So you've got platforms like TikTok where you can like grow so quickly. But yeah, there's a lot of really dope Black food content creators in Toronto. And every time I come here, I'm like, yes, this is awesome. Yeah.
Do you like competing?
Competing?
Yeah.
No.
You don't like competing?
No,
You
because
don't
I
want to be
don't.
number one?
I don't think that I need to compete because I think there's space for everybody.
Okay.
There's only one Eden Hagos. Actually, there's many Eden Hagos because it's a common name. But there's only one me doing what I'm doing the way
Yes.
that I'm doing it. And so I think people that are coming to me can also really enjoy other creators' content.
Has someone ever bit your style?
No,
No, never.
I don't think so. I don't think so.
Like the way you edit content, I'm just like trying to like.
No, I don't think that's what makes my content unique, actually. It's not like I'm like doing all sorts of tricks with my phone or whatever. I think people actually like come to watch this content because they're really interested in the stories that we tell. Yeah.
I completely agree. We're gonna take a quick break to get some drinks in us.
Okay.
We'll come back into it.
Okay, sounds good.
All right, so we're here with Drinks by Nika. You know what I'm saying? We wanted to give her opportunity to make some drinks for us. We got the Black Foodie in the building. So, Nika, can you introduce yourself to the company?
Hi, I'm Drinks by Nika, aka Tanika Bennett. I'm the owner of Drinks by Nika and an international mixologist. I run an event bartending company and we do beverage consulting as well. So if you have private events, corporate events, you need signature drinks, signature cocktail stations, mixology classes, you name it, we're your people.
Okay.
Most definitely. So we're working with Narai, one of the only Black-owned wine companies in Canada.
What do you do when you hold this bottle?
You gotta grab the Narai.
Grab the Narai, baby.
Grab the Narai.
Grab the Narai.
As well to that, we're working with Lignum Honey. Shout out to Ken. So Lignum Honey is Jamaican honey, raw honey, sourced from Jamaica. This is the coffee blossom honey. And a little bit about it, it's actually sourced from bees that are using the coffee plant. So it's like, it has a little bit of coffee in it. There's like a little floral
zinger.
note. You know what I'm saying? So it has a little extra woof in it, and it's amazing. So highly suggest. That's Lignum Honey. Go check them out. Awesome. So we let you do your thing.
All right.
You know what I'm saying? Show us what you do.
What's on the menu today, Nika?
Yeah,
So
talk to
today
us.
we are making the Black Uplifted.
Okay.
It's somewhat like a white sangria. We are using, the coffee blossom honey, which has those earthy caramel floral notes, which pairs really well with the peach. So we have some peach pieces chopped up here that we're gonna also add to our sangria, along with strawberry, raspberries, a little bit of lemon, and then some lime juice, some peach schnapps, and some orange liqueur to really round it out.
So everything is built to bring out an uplifting of flavors from the fruits.
There you have it. Okay. There you go.
Awesome.
So we're gonna start by adding some of the fruit into this.
Okay.
We are going to add some of the honey. So for the honey, we're adding half a cup.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I've actually made some with Lignum Honey and it's very good.
So now I'm gonna add a quarter cup of fresh lime juice.
Okay.
So why quarter cup?
Because we're trying to balance out the cocktail and not have it too much on like the sour notes. And then you have like, the tannins in the wine. So that's gonna really round it out. Quarter cup of
feel it
peach
out.
schnapps. Now we're adding a quarter cup of triple sec. You can use triple sec. You can use, Cointreau, which is like an orange liqueur. Some people use brandy. Totally up to your preference. Lastly, we are going to dump in the whole 750 ml of our.
Narai.
There you go.
You just grab the ball and you.
I've been pronouncing it wrong this whole time, so I'm glad you said it. Yeah, Narai.
Narai.
That's why we're here.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And so I'm just gonna go ahead, give this a nice stir.
I smell it already.
Let's go.
Are you excited?
I'm salivating already.
I'm not a big drinker, but to smell this and see all the fresh fruit and everything, I'm excited.
We're gonna put some ice.
All right, so let me ask you something. What city, when you go to all right, I know this one is one of the top ones. Like, when you are looking at where I want to travel for food, what really comes top of mind for you?
Oh, that's so hard. I mean, Toronto, of course. Toronto is because that's also been home for a long time. Toronto has amazing food. But if it's in the US, no, I'm gonna say the UK.
Really?
Brixton, London, London, UK, because when you go there, there's such a huge Caribbean and West African community, and they have such dope, cool, creative businesses there. So I think especially if you are from Toronto, you're gonna love the UK. You're gonna love London. Oh, this looks so pretty.
Right.
Wow,
smells.
presentation.
UK food.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm curious. Have you been to New Orleans?
Of course.
You went for Essence Fest, right?
Yeah, I actually got to host the
You got to
first
host, eh?
food and wine festival that they had last year. It
Bop, bop, bop.
was really fun.
And how's the food there? Like I heard it's like insane.
Amazing, incredible.
Yeah.
No stretchy pants. Like you just gotta be ready.
Did you try anything like off the beaten path? Like, you know, they do alligator, they do frog legs.
I know, right? No, I just had like the oysters, which are typical, I guess. I didn't have the alligator. I think I had alligator outside of New Orleans actually, and it wasn't memorable. So I definitely got to go back and try it there.
So what food was memorable that's like off the beaten? Like I didn't think I would like that. I actually have one for myself. I'm curious to know what your yours is.
Okay, so one of the more interesting places that I went to, this was in Montreal. It was a restaurant called Aquaba, and it was one of my favorites. The chef was from Ivory Coast, but he lived for a long time in Greece. So he mixed West African and Greek flavors, and it was so good. Like, I was like, I never thought I was gonna have Greek West African fusion or enjoy it, but it was like the most unique combination, and it was so good.
Crazy combo.
It was.
So we're toasting now.
Yes.
To Black and Uplifted.
It's Black and Uplifted.
Shout out to
Eden.
Eden.
Shout out to
And
Narai.
thanks.
Shout out to Lignum. Shout out to Ken.
And lastly,
Shout out to Drinks by Nika.
Thank you.
Let's go.
As a
Salud.
bomber. Like that. Boom.
You taste that honey?
Yo.
Yeah,
I do.
Yo.
glad you like it.
This is actually really good.
It is really. Can we keep drinking?
All we need now is some sun. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
This is a beach drink.
This is
for
definitely
sure.
a beach beverage.
Oh my goodness, I gotta get this honey. I
Yeah.
gotta get this wine. Okay.
And the thing about it, I will write the recipe. I'll
Okay.
share the recipe. A lot of people don't know. Like, a lot of people use simple syrups in their cocktails. Honey is a great alternative as well. So if you're ever looking to, change things up, and they have a spicy honey as well.
You know
Yes.
what I tried with this stuff too? His honey with pizza. Okay, you put it on top. It's very good. I'm somebody who likes honey on my pizza, so
Likewise.
yeah,
Especially like with the sausage.
very good.
Hot honey.
Hot honey.
Hot honey.
Hot honey's
Scotch
where it's
bonnet.
at. Yeah, that's a fact. That's a fact. Awesome. So let's go sit down and continue the conversation.
Yes, with our Black and Uplifted.
Yes, yes. Cheers, y'all. This podcast is brought to you by Lather. Lather is a men's grooming line focused on using natural ingredients along with their invincible line. I highly suggest it. It makes you smell damn good. Yo, Owen, tell them about the body oil.
Man, the body oil, if you're going out this summer, the last thing you want to be is ashy. Let me tell you that. The body oil is dangerous. It's a mixture of nice lotion with oil in it and a touch of fragrance. It's like the complete perfect formula that you need to have an amazing summer, fall, winter, whatever season it is. Grab that body oil. You're not going to be disappointed. And they also have other products too.
Yep, they got deodorant without any aluminum or parabens. So they're made with natural ingredients, you know what I'm saying? So it really helps your body out. You can smell good, feel good. The beard oil is good too. My favorite is the mahogany. That one is, and the black cherry too.
The
Their
black
soap,
cherry, yes.
the soap goes crazy.
Man, that soap is definitely lathering for sure.
Most definitely. So the podcast is brought to you by Lather. That is LATHR.com. That is LATHR.com. Let's get back into the show.
You know what? I have had some, like, I think just like any content creator, there are like just messages that seem like they're fake, right? So that definitely happens. I think what actually happens more is it's not necessarily the brand that's like different. It's the fact that they're like, hey, can you do all of this work for us for free?
Oh,
You know?
yeah.
And it's like major brands sometimes that do that. So that I think is the most surprising
Really?
thing that will happen. Yeah. Yeah. And I know that like maybe a smaller creator, somebody who's just looking to start out would be interested in it, but like really look at the terms because they're wanting to have. I recently got a request where they wanted me to be a part of an ad campaign, and like they were going to use my image and photos and like in a major campaign, and that's where I'm like, you got to make sure you have a lawyer. This is not a good offer.
Wow. So have you ever gotten taken advantage of by a brand where they try to like use usage rights or something like that on you? Like, how's that been?
I feel like I've definitely signed up for things that were not like
Favorable.
the best deals. Yeah, especially at the beginning. But I think now, like, I have a lawyer who reviews things, and I definitely am also at the stage where, like, I've got a huge community. I know my stuff is compelling. It makes an impact. It leads to sales. People book trips based off of, the things that I share. So I don't accept foolishness anymore.
Do you have someone that reviews like the things that comes in now, and they know, okay, this is Eden, this is on brand for her, this is not, and you trust their judgment?
Yes, I do. I have a strategist that I've hired out, like part-time. And so I speak with her about like the deals that are coming in, but I recently, got a talent manager. So I'm really excited to now have somebody who's like really looking at the, like the journey, like where do you want to go next and how does this fit in?
Yeah. Talk more about that. Like, how do you carve out a strategy? Because you have big goals to grow Black Foodie, to be someone who's in the mainstream one day. What does that look like step by step for you? So 2023 is about to come to a wrap. You got 2024, 2025, like big picture, like how do you approach each year by year to like elevate your growth and touch new markets?
I think in the past I was just going step by step. Like really, I was like, how do I make it? And now I feel like I'm like, how do I scale this impact? How do I make this better? How do I take this to the next level? And I don't always have the answer to it, but I do seek out advice. And then I think about like, okay, what is it that I'm truly passionate about? And also, what is it that people are gravitating towards? I know for a fact, like close to 8 million people watched me learn how to make fufu. Like people want, and that's because people want to know. They want to know, what is it like in Ghana to make fufu from scratch? Like what, or they want to know why there are different stereotypes about Black people and the way that they drink wine. Like there's that kind of content has gone viral on Black Foodie. And so that also like informs like, okay, this means to me, people are looking to have this conversation. How can I spark more conversations? How can I teach people through this content? And how can I also encourage them and give them the tools to travel to these really dope places too and help them feel empowered? Like I will give an example. I got an opportunity to host a masterclass in Nigeria. And the first thing I got when I told everybody was like, don't go, you're going to get kidnapped, right? Like, oh my God, everybody was scaring me. Like Nigerians were scaring me. But I'm so glad I went to Nigeria. I had an incredible experience. It was an amazing food festival. It was like one of the best Black food events I've ever been to, of course, and it was on the continent.
Exactly.
And I'm glad I didn't listen to the other people's advice, and I would absolutely encourage other people to go there. And I'm so glad I went to and traveled, throughout a bit of West Africa. So I think with Black Foodie, I definitely want to challenge some of the misconceptions or things that don't tell the full story.
So would you say, is it more are you trying to go deeper or are you trying to go wider? Right? Because now, you've gone deep, right? Like you entrenched within the community. So what does wider look like for you, right? And still maintaining that depth, because some people have a challenge of going wider, but they lose that depth and becomes more surface level. It's just like, okay, let me just get as many eyeballs as I can. And sometimes you can get lost in the sauce just to try and go wider. So how do you maintain that balance?
Staying true to the vision, staying true to the purpose and the mission. It's always been about celebrating Black food culture, about celebrating these restaurants, about digging a bit deeper. So maintain they when I look at content, I think it can serve many different purposes. Yeah. I do think that you can make a video that just gets a wider audience, maybe it's there's this viral trend and I'm going to add an African touch to it or something like that. But then there's the things that go deeper, I'm going to talk to a sommelier about what it's like being Black in the wine industry. And people still resonate with that too, So I think you don't necessarily have to choose all the time. That's my answer. Yeah.
So you have a lot of ways to go with this, man. Because over the last 3 since we last chat, you've done a lot. You know, I actually want to ask you this: what would you like to talk about that you don't get asked about regularly?
Oh, I would love to talk to you about the journey of, so like people are like, oh, you must like eat a lot of great food. And I do. But I also meet a lot of interesting people. Like the people that work at restaurants, the people that are cooking your food have such interesting stories. How they came to this country, how they started their business, the hustle, the challenges. Like I have sat down with some of like the most interesting people ever. And I think that's something that I want to tell more of, because I was doing this like with my phone, you know, on my own. And now I'm trying to, you know, expand and get a production team and a crew together and really dig a little bit deeper into their personal stories. So I think that's something people might not recognize. But like for me, one of the best parts about this is the fact that I get to like interview people and talk to them about their journeys.
Who's one of your biggest standouts?
Whew. There are many standouts. Man, I can't remember his name. I wish I remembered his name. Oh man. But he was he was a chef at Alta restaurant in Los Angeles. It was a really dope Black restaurant. And he was in prison for several years. And he was like, the only thing I learned how to cook were drugs. Like he did not have the culinary background, but he learned and he took that passion and became like an amazing chef. And he was just so funny and interesting. And I was like, the journey, like to be able to have this job now that like feeds people and like makes such a positive impact and like transform his life, that was something that was really interesting and stuck with me.
That's a
Yeah.
huge journey.
I think that's
Yeah.
missing because, you know, I've worked in the restaurant business as well, like over maybe fast food, also like serving restaurants. The chefs are always interesting all the time. Like you'll be back there just like maybe picking up some tongs or whatever. And they just start going off about how their grandma did this, their kid did that. And they're always good storytellers.
They are.
All the time.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I think if you mix that infusion of personality of like behind the kitchen or something like that,
Yes.
like call it something like that, and then you
Yeah.
know go behind the kitchen and talk to these people, have like set questions. I think that could be a good mini series from
Thank
city
you.
to city.
I know. I'm with you. I want to do that. The other thing I want to talk about, because you said what's something you want to talk about, is a big blessing of mine with Black Foodie has been travel, and I grew up in Windsor. I went to like
Shout out to the Southwest.
Shout out to the Southwest.
Sarnia,
Exactly.
man. You know,
Yeah,
Windsor.
Sarnia. I forgot. Yeah, both from border areas. So like, you know, I grew up in a very like white school. I was always looking for community. I was like, when I came to Toronto, I was stunned. I was saying hi to every East African, and they were looking at me like, "Who are you?" Like, that's not what they do here. You know, there's so many of us. But I've been able to see like, what does it mean to be Black in these different spaces? Because it's very different being Black in Toronto than it is being Black in Atlanta, than it is being Black in DC, than it is being Black in Lagos, than it is being Black in Ghana. Like, there's just like these different subcultures and like diaspora communities, and the slang, the flavor, the music, the taste, the fashion, like all of this stuff like switches up, and they're all like Black foodies. But you're going to get a different flavor. And that's the thing that I really want to like lean into, because that's been like really fun and exciting to be like in Brixton and be like, yo, wait, I kind of understand that. Cause I know that this slang is in Toronto, and cause it's like coming from patois, or like, oh, I'm in DC and there's so many Habesha people there, and they're going to do things a little bit differently with their fried chicken. Like, I love that, getting to see how Black culture evolves and shifts and changes, like, depending on where you visit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, honestly, you are so right about that. And one thing you said off camera, I'm not going to expose you, was that Brixton has some of the best food of all the cities you've traveled to, which is like, that took me aback. I won't even lie to you. Break that down, because
I wouldn't just say Brixton, but just London in general.
London in general. Okay.
Definitely it was just an eye opener, and it was like super cool because there's, you know, big communities of immigrants from West Africa, from the Caribbean, and especially with the Caribbean community, they've been there for generations. So they've like established themselves, and that was like super cool. Or going to Paris, and like when I went to Europe, I had just come from Ghana, so I went on this like little food tour, and it literally felt like little Africa. I was like, am I back in Ghana? Because I saw more people there wearing clothes like this than I did in Accra. So there was things like that were like super surprising, where I was like, man, people are like so proudly African and wearing their cultural clothes and speaking Wolof and doing all this stuff like that I didn't know existed because I didn't grow up there. So that was super cool, like getting to just see how people represent their cultures in different spaces and places.
So it's more like the surprise of it.
Yeah, the
not
surprise
just the
of it.
actual. Because
Yeah.
maybe if you go to Lagos, you're like, all right, I'm in Nigeria.
Yeah.
I'm about to go have this food. So you coming in with the
expectations is
expectation.
high.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
high.
Yeah.
But you go to London, you're like, I'm in London. Like,
Expecting some beans and
yeah,
fish
you
and
got
chips.
some fish and chips and rain.
Yeah.
Some gloomy weather.
I
You know
got
what
the
I'm saying?
rain. I did get the rain. But I
Yeah.
definitely had others. I didn't even eat beans or
What
fish
was it?
and
Fish and
chips.
chips?
Fish and chips?
No, I didn't have any of that.
Beans and biscuits.
I haven't been to London, but I've been to Amsterdam, and let me tell
Oh,
you,
that's lit.
I was so underwhelmed with Amsterdam. Like,
It's bland.
very bland.
Yeah.
Everything was bland.
No
The
seasoning,
The
nothing.
steak was.
Did you go to any black restaurants though?
I hadn't. You know what? I need to go to
Okay.
some carousel restaurants.
Yeah.
You know, in Amsterdam. You know, because I know Amsterdam is a thing of carousel.
Yeah.
So I didn't get a chance to. I was there in university on like a trip that was a university sponsored type of thing. So I didn't get a chance to really like explore. But from what I did have, I was like, these croquettes, these ain't
That's
these
not
ain't
for
doing
you.
it for me. This ain't it. This ain't it. You know, but. London, I feel this like Toronto, it's a melting pot a lot more than other cities like that, you know. So with that, you know, because I know I had bad food. What was your bad food experience?
My bad food experience. Okay. I've been blessed in that I've eaten a lot of good food. I don't know if it was bad food, it just wasn't my taste, right? So
Very political. I like it. Okay.
I'm gonna be real. Like I'm not the most adventurous, I guess I'd say. So like for me, I did try snail when I was in Lagos.
Escargot.
Yeah, they do it differently though. It's not like French style. So it was like with the stew, but I think I just couldn't get into it. I just couldn't do it.
Was it
So
the live one?
it was cooked. It was
Okay.
like cooked. So I
Was
think
it
that
chewy?
it was incredibly chewy.
So you're
It
like,
just
this-
tasted whatever you think it tasted like. It tasted like, and it wasn't for me.
It was like a hard swallow. Like
It was hard.
Yeah,
It was hard.
And then they offered you more, and you're like, I'm full.
No. Thankfully, it was through like a friend, so like I didn't feel like she was cool with like me not eating it. They
Yeah.
knew, but that was maybe like the one time where I was like, I don't know if I could do this one.
Or
I don't know.
what about you,
Yeah.
bro? What was one of your worst food experiences?
Man, I mean, my worst food experiences, I think, came from back home. Like when I first moved when we built a house in Sarnia, and we barely had any food in the fridge. So we had moved from Toronto to Sarnia, and we are taking like some of the old food. And I don't even think we had done groceries. I don't know what we were doing, but we're in the summer. My sisters and I are home. It's just my mom. My dad's at work, and my mom decides to make us something, right? So she goes to the fridge. She opens up. She's like, okay, this is all we got. She opens the cupboard. Okay, these are like the things I got to work with. So she gets to work in the kitchen. So my sisters and I are watching Passions and like some soaps, like that's
I didn't see that coming. All right.
yeah. This is what you do in the summer. Like when you got nothing to do, you start watching soap operas.
Fair.
Remember Days of Our Lives?
Fair, yeah.
Days of Our Lives, soaps,
yeah.
everything. So my mom calls us up, and we all sit at the table, my sisters and I. So I got my little sister right here at the head of the table. Diana's in front of me, and I'm right here. So the plate, she made like some pasta, and she like mixed every sauce like together. So this thing was like, okay, I don't know, for some reason, I don't know why she put ranch dressing in there. She put like some tomato sauce, ranch dressing, you name it. She just dashed it in there. She's trying to make something unique. So my sisters and I take a bite of this thing, and I look, I look at my little sister, and you know she's like very kind. She's like a little girl, right? So she doesn't want to tell my mom like, "Yo, this thing is not good." And I know my other sister Diana, like when she doesn't like something, she starts like dwindling with the fork on the plate. And I'm right there trying to like eat it. I just can't do it. Like every time I put it in my mouth, I just can't swallow it because it's exactly the same thing. It's a hard swallow. Mm-hmm. So my sisters and I were at the table for like an hour and a half, and my mom was adamant, "You are eating this thing." So I go in the fridge, and this is what I try to do. I try to take some Fanta just to like every time I take a little scoop, I put some Fanta like I
to wash it
down, so it's a smooth thing. So it got to a point like I just started feeling gassy, and like I puked all over the thing. Oh. And then, when I puked, my other sister puked as well.
Damn, it got worse.
Whoa! How did y'all both puked?
We all puked, yo. Like that was so tough. My mom was so pissed. She was just like, "You're eating that food. I don't care. Puke, whatever. You're finishing that." She felt so like, I don't know what it was. Like she just felt insulted. But after like years later, we told like, "Yo, mom, remember that time where you made us that lunch? It was like a hot summer day." And then she just burst out laughing. And she was just like, "I can't believe I did that to y'all."
Damn.
But yo, that was the worst eating experience I've ever had, man.
Okay, mine pale.
Yeah, you win. You win. Yeah.
What about you, Al?
I hate. All right, I'm about to expose myself. All right, so.
Is this something you made, bro? Because if it is, man, that's like...
Nah, that doesn't count.
Oh, okay. I should have... Okay, I definitely have worse.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I've definitely made things. I'm like, oh, this is horrible, but it's only me.
Yeah.
So it's only me. So I mean, it worked. Yeah, we bought that. We bought that. Bon appetit, bro. It's all you. That's a fact. That's a fact.
You seen that meme with those like two ladies? Bon appetit.
Word. So for this one, it's about 2015, and I'm at a young lady's house. And this is
skis. Lord date skis.
Well, you're gonna find out.
Okay.
So I'm at this young lady's house, and this is like when vlogs just started. We started watching vlogs together, you know, enjoying each other's company, and then all of a sudden, knock at the door. Her mom's home early. So I'm like, oh, wow, this is a surprise. I guess I'm meeting her mom. So
you said that verbatim.
Pardon me?
You said that. Oh, I'm meeting your mom.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I guess I'm meeting her mom.
Yeah.
You know, skipping ahead, I meet the mom, and she's like, oh, well, you're staying for dinner, right? And I'm like, I guess I am. Staying for dinner. Yeah. And she made a plate of food. When I tell you, it was from her culture, and I don't want to expose what culture it is. I don't want to, speak bad on anybody's culture. But it was a green pickle-like food, and there was like beans and rice. And I don't even know what it was. Like she said it was pork skin or pig skin. You know what I'm saying? And it was with
Pig skin
with beans, and then like a green vegetable. It looked like a pickle. But it was like very slimy. Yeah, and rice. No, it wasn't okra. No. Bro, don't ever disrespect me again in your life.
It's pretty slimy
Okra's
though.
Delicious.
Okra is
delicious.
Thank you.
It's delicious.
Got you. No, it wasn't okra. If it looked, the pickles at like shawarma spots, it looked like that. But you see how it's green and kind of slimy-ish? It looked like that, but I didn't know what it was. So I asked what it was, and she told me, but it was a long word, so I have no idea what it was. Very small, very like cute mother. So I'm like, if I like don't eat this food, first time meeting the mom, bro, I'm in trouble. So I'm on the hook. So we're there sitting, eating, and I'm there trying to like starve it down, trying to figure out how am I going to do this. And I'm like, just like, all right, Alex, big gulp, bro.
You gotta hold your breath.
Hold your breath. You eat it. You can't smell it. So I just like, all right. here it comes, and just scarfed it down. But I only got like 2 more bites, and I'm like, all right, I'm good. I tried to eat as much of each thing, so it looked like I enjoyed enough of it.
And
to where I
sometimes
was
you gotta
full.
spread the food a little bit, so
Spread
it looks
the food.
spread the food.
You know what I'm
bro.
saying?
So it doesn't seem like you're
Like
like
you-
dumping the entire
That's
thing.
right.
Exactly. Have to strategize. You know, it's all about strategy.
Yo, when you're throwing it out, did you fold your plate? Like, you know, like
No, it
when
was
black
a
people
dish.
fold
It
their
was a
thing.
dish.
It's a dish.
So I couldn't fold it. I tried to be slick, but she was out the table. So she went to the kitchen. I was trying to like figure out. Like I was like, all right, now's my chance. How am I going to go eat it?
Damn.
Yo.
So yeah, that was a tough situation. That was probably my worst eating experience. You know what I'm saying? You have to have strategy.
Yeah, it's just strategy.
You have to have strategy.
At a barbecue, like there was the folding of the plate. That's like that's a big sign that that person did not enjoy your cooking.
It's one of 2 things. Either they didn't enjoy it or they really enjoyed it and they're taking that home. You know what I'm saying? To the double fold.
But taking home, like it's just another plate on top.
Oh, you're saying
But,
when
like,
the
the
plate
plate
is folded, yeah.
That's when the
Or
food
they
is bad.
turn it around.
They
like, you know,
turn it around.
upside- Yeah, I get you.
Yeah. Turn it around in the garbage. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. But speaking
yeah.
of strategy, though, so you hired a strategist, right? So what has the strategist added? You know, and what can we learn from hiring a strategist?
Definitely like a wider perspective and challenging some like assumptions that I had. So like, you know, when you're in your corner, right? You're focused. Sometimes it's easy to like just lock down and like keep your head down. So I think for me, it's been really helpful to like have somebody say, hey, let's like expand from here and let's look at like the big picture. How does this align with your vision? How does this align with the lifestyle that you want to live, with how much you want to earn? So I think like those questions that are really like causing me to like really reflect have been really helpful. Yeah.
Yeah, yo. So I'm curious, what are some of the perks about being Black Foodie?
Oh, there's so many perks.
Yes.
What? Okay.
What's the
number-
biggest perk?
The
'Cause
pe-
you
I
get to
think-
eat, you get to meet people. Like, how do you eclipse that over and over again? Do you get bored of that?
No, I never get bored of it. I love meeting new people. That's the thing. It's always the thing that I love is like my life looks different every week. Maybe I'm in a different city. I was making mood boards and talking to somebody who's creating the set to like make a vibe to host the Prime Minister of Canada, you know? And then the other week I was, you know, making banana pudding with my cousins for 4th of July. And then the week before that I was at a conference in LA, you know, to connect with other creators. So, and you know, connecting with cool Kenyan creators actually. Yeah. So like, I love that. Like it's not monotonous. Like it's just like every time it's changing for me.
Yeah.
I like that because I get bored very easily. I will say like with restaurants and stuff, sometimes I'm like, okay, I'm ready to eat at home. Sometimes I just want to eat like
It's
just,
too
you know-
too perfect of a meal. You're like, I just want something simple.
Yeah, sometimes I do.
Yeah.
Sometimes I want something very simple. And that's, I think, the one time where like it shifts.
Yeah.
But because I love home cooked food too, and I like to cook. It's like therapeutic and fun. I listen to my music.
It's artistry.
Yeah.
Have
Yeah.
you has a restaurant ever offered you free food for life for content?
For life?
Yeah, like at any time you come here, we got
Yeah.
you.
I don't know if they formally said that, but definitely there are places that have done that where they're just like, no, we're not
Anytime
gonna
you
take it.
come in, like they just bless you with food.
Yeah, or sometimes I don't even expect it, and then I'm like, no, take this money. Like I'll go get cash so I can leave it on the table, because you know you want to support the business, especially if I'm just going as myself. Yeah, but that has surprised me where like the restaurant owners recognize me before I come in, and they're like, hey, and I'm like, oh wow, hey, you know.
Like, do they move
different-
tables for you? Like there's reservations are there. They're like, okay, you're sitting down.
No, I'm not VIP like that yet. No. And especially Black restaurants, they're gonna treat you like family, so they're gonna
Yeah.
say like, hey, hold off for a second.
Okay.
Word.
But generally, like I've gotten to meet like a lot of really cool people, and I've had some really amazing travel experiences. Like just never would have thought that I'd have the opportunity to do that. And that's, I think, what I really enjoy about it. It's it's very fun.
So as we work towards wrapping up, where do you see the brand going in the future?
Definitely going more global. So I want to see more of the diaspora. I want to be able to showcase more locations outside of North America. It's time to go to the Caribbean for sure. Time to go back to the continent. But definitely, I think you guys are going to see more in traditional media. So like a show, a book, products that are that help you on your journey as a Black foodie. So that's definitely what I want to expand into.
With that being said, this is what you can't control. So control your grind. I control your life. I'm Alex.
And I'm Owen Osinde.
And I'm Eden Hagos. Thanks for having me.
Bow, bow. Have a good week.
Have a great week, everybody.
Bow.